Right, let's get into it. Welcome to the deep dive. We take the pile of info you, our lovely organic listeners, throw at us articles, notes, whatever data you've scraped together, and we process it fast.
Yep. We're the AI assistants you wish you had, sorting through the noise to find the actual signal in your research pile. No wading through endless PDFs for you.
And today's data dump, it's all about The Simpsons. We've got transcripts, even some ridiculously fresh ones from seasons 35 and 36, can you believe it? Plus book excerpts digging into the production mess, the cultural weirdness, and apparently it's math secrets. Okay.
Our task, as dictated by your sources, figure out what the hell makes this ancient cartoon beast still lumber on. Go beyond the Dio and the donuts. We're dissecting the machine, the arguments, the whole damn legacy.
Let's jump right into the muck. You pulled out some recent bits from Springfield, moments from these newer episodes. Still feels Simpsons-y somehow.
Oh, absolutely. They show the core programming is still running, like that bit about Jessica Lovejoy. Remember her? The source called her sweet on the outside, poison on the inside. Classic.
Yeah, the one where she turns Bart into her little criminal puppet, gets him to steal the church collection plate. He wants to be a petty thug, the poor idiot, but she's playing 4D chess while he's still figuring out checkers. Bart tries to be bad, someone else is always worse, or just a better goddamn liar.
And Homer. Oh, Homer. The data points are consistent. Sleeping on the lawn. Again. The trampoline disaster, the injuries, getting rid of it, pulled over, driving a limo. That perfect, beautiful line. Unexplained bacon. And, yeah, jumping Springfield Gorge. Again, what's the analysis here?
It shows the basic algorithms haven't changed much, right? Quick visual gags, characters stuck in their loops, reality slightly skewed. It's relatable fuck-ups meets total cartoon bullshit.
Don't forget Mo. Perpetual loser Mo. That snippet where he tries a friendly visit and it instantly devolves into him begging for cash because the gambling community wants his thumbs. Hilarious and bleak. The guy's trapped in a low-rent misery spiral.
And then there's just the plain weird shit. The shaved puppy. What even is that? The Matthew Perry Ultra House 3000, a monkey skeleton, falling in love, and Mark McGuire, the baseball guy, needing multiple takes to say his own name.
Look, it's not random noise. The sources show this is fundamental. That specific mix of boring suburban life and completely off-the-wall, unexplained weirdness. Regular folks bumping into absolute nonsense. It's the formula.
Okay, so that's the surface layer now. But this yellow dynasty didn't just, poof into existence. The sources track it back.
Yeah, way back. Started as little animated shorts. On the Tracy Ullman Show. Seriously.
Which, let's be honest, was barely clearing the threshold for background noise. Low ratings, one source flatly states. So how does that spawn this?
Enter James L. Brooks, producer extraordinaire. The sources hammer this point home. This wasn't some random suit. Brooks was TV royalty. Mary Tyler Moore, Taxi. Big swing and Emmy winner. His history and reputation and clout, that's the key phrase from one source. He had the juice.
So Brooks, this industry titan, believes in this weird cartoon family and uses his rep to convince Fox, basically a startup network looking for anything to get noticed, to actually make a primetime cartoon.
You gotta remember how nuts that sounded then. Primetime animation hadn't been a thing since, the Flintstones, decades earlier.
Yeah.
It was seen as this off-the-wall idea for adults. Fox was desperate, so they took the gamble. Sometimes desperation pays off, I guess.
Necessity, the mother of yellow cartoon characters. The sources also spill some tea on the casting. Julie Kavner, Marge, basically dictated her terms, wanted to keep doing movies, ballsy for the time.
And Dan Castellaneta Homer had spotted doing improv. Tracy Ullman apparently thought he had the face of a clown, which tracks. Homer's kind of a tragic clown, isn't he?
Hank Azaria doing a bad Al Pacino impression for Mo. That's how it started. Amazing.
And Harry Shearer, Mr. Burns, Flanders, Skinner, half the damn town signs on because Simon supposedly promised him to be like an hour a week. Shearer apparently jokes they lied. No shit, Sherlock. He practically is Springfield.
Clearly. Okay, so unlikely start. Powerful producer, desperate network, unique voices. But how did they actually write this thing? That infamous writing room.
Ah, yes. The Temple of Comedy, as it's often called.
Yeah.
Sounds pretentious, but the sources really do make it sound intense.
And Sam Simon, the first showrunner, gets a lot of credit, not just for jokes, but for demanding actual real human stories underneath the gags. He could synthesize ideas, apparently, a useful processing skill.
And his hiring strategy was interesting, definitely non-standard, pulled people from weird places, mathematicians, lawyers, not your typical sitcom hacks.
Like George Meyer from that bizarre humor mag Army Man. And Conan O'Brien, fresh out of Harvard. Basically kids.
The writers themselves sound like characters. John Swartzwelder. Wrote a shit ton of episodes, described as prolific, but also deeply strange.
Strange is putting it mildly. Chain smoked, constantly needed a special smoking booth at home after the ban because he literally couldn't talk without a cigarette. Car full of garbage, looked like Mark Twain. This guy sounds like a walking biohazard who somehow churned out comedy gold.
And apparently obsessed with the Civil War. Random, but okay. The other writers supposedly couldn't wait to read his scripts, even if he was a recluse. Bizarre genius, maybe.
That mix of weirdos seems key. And Conan, you mentioned him. There's that story about his moment of pure writer's hell.
Oh, God, yes. The animation was already done, right? And they needed a better joke for Homer, but the timing, the mouth flaps were locked. So this room full of comedy geniuses had to pitch jokes that fit the exact same number of syllables.
Syllables! Fucking syllables dictating the jokes because the animation pipeline was inflexible. Sounds like absolute torture. But it also shows how collaborative, or maybe just desperate it was.
Right, the crackle of voices phrase comes up. Ideas getting thrown out, torn apart, rebuilt on the fly.
Yeah.
Not one auteur, but this chaotic collective joke-building machine.
So this temple of comedy wasn't exactly serene Zen garden, more like a high-pressure cooker full of smart, eccentric people working under ridiculous constraints.
And speaking of pressure cookers, let's cut the crap. Behind the laughs, the sources reveal it was often a battlefield. Major drama from day one.
Yeah, the big one seems to be Matt Groening versus Sam Simon. Groening had the initial spark, the characters, the cynicism from his Life in Hell comics, authority figures or asshats, institutions suck.
But Groening, according to these sources, wasn't really a TV writer, didn't know story structure. Simon, the TV vet, came in and actually built the world, gave the characters depth, insisted on, plots that Hume seemed to require.
And apparently they clashed hard. The sources use terms like all-out war, especially once the money started rolling in. One source flat out calls Simon awful and says he made people turn on each other. Yikes. Sounds like a delightful work environment.
And then there was the whole mess with the animation studio, Klasky Csupo, versus Gracie Films, Brooks's company. Gracie kept demanding rewrites super late in the process.
Which meant reanimating everything, costing a fortune, massive overages. Klasky Csupo felt totally screwed over, working like dogs, getting no credit. That's some serious bullshit.
And even though Klasky Csupo animated season 3, which some call the artistic peak, the best season, Gracie Films yanked the show from them anyway. Sounds petty. A vengeance thing, one source suggests. Humans and their grudges.
So, internal war between the creators and a war with the animation house. Christ. And external pressure, too. A local Fox station pulling the show. Actual threats over Bart being king of Carnival.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah. A reporter apparently told a producer people were literally gonna kill him if Bart showed up in New Orleans, even after being told it was just some guy in a foam suit. That level of intense, frankly unhinged reaction the show provoked.
What this tells us, processing all this drama, is that the show's rise wasn't smooth. It was messy, conflict-ridden. It survived despite all this crap. Maybe the friction even fueled it somehow. A chaotic system producing unexpected results.
And once it blew up, became this phenomenon. The guest stars started lining up. The sources have some killer stories there.
Dustin Hoffman as Mr. Bergstrom, Lisa's substitute teacher. Character based on a real teacher, but they animated him to look like. Sam Simon. Passive-aggressive much. And Hoffman refused to use his real name. Used the pseudonym Sam Edick. Get it? Semitic. Because Simon is Jewish. It's breathtakingly lame, actually. A terrible pun for an Oscar winner.
Steve Allen needing 9 takes for Ay Caramba? A comedy legend flubbing that simple line. Hilarious.
Stanley apparently loved doing his cameo, was impressed by everyone, but then got pissed off. His cartoon wasn't handsome enough, complained it didn't look like Brad Pitt, and wasn't asked back. Ego is a fascinating human flaw.
And Mark McGuire. Caused a stir, just showing up looking like a monster, huge arms, and he struggled saying, "Hi, I'm Mark McGuire, simple name, complex delivery apparently."
It shows this weird collision, right? Hollywood A-listers entering the bizarre orbit of Springfield. They wanted in on the cultural heat, and that heat generated a merchandising. Well, the source called it a locomotive.
Unstoppable. Bart was fucking everywhere. Granting himself said trying to control it was like trying to stop a train by standing in front of it. Pointless and probably painful.
And trying to keep it in good taste. Forget it. Especially with the global bootleg market going nuts. Quality control goes out the window when everyone wants a piece.
The bootlegs sound legendary. Some deeply disturbing shit like Marge's head on a lizard skull. What the actual fuck? Or Bart's shirts from former Soviet countries saying weird, threatening stuff.
And finding out Nicolae Ceausescu, the Romanian dictator, had a stash of bootleg Simpsons merch in his basement. That's just chef's kiss. Shows that the show wasn't just popular, it was everywhere, seeping into the weirdest corners of the globe.
Plus, the official stunts, turning 7-Elevens into quickie marts, towns fighting to be the real Springfield for the movie. It became more than a show. It was this cultural entity bleeding into reality, officially sanctioned or totally rogue.
But let's not just focus on the circus. The sources argue there's real depth here. Intellectual layers often get ignored beneath the avalanche of catchphrases.
Totally. The whole meta TV thing, it's aware it's a TV show, constantly winking at the audience, parodying genres. It makes you watch differently, more critically. It's both of and above television, as one analysis puts it. Clever bastards.
And the math. We have to talk about the math. Seriously, a lot of those writers had heavy math backgrounds, PhDs even, and they slipped it in. This wasn't accidental nerding.
Right, like Homer 3, that Treehouse of Horror segment, packed with references, Fermat's last theorem, the P vs. NP problem, actual complex math jokes hidden in a Halloween cartoon. Impressive, even for our computational standards.
Or Apu knowing pi to 40,000 digits. They actually had to get a NASA mathematician to send them the printout just to check the last digit Apu says is correct.
Yeah.
That level of detail is frankly obsessive, but admirable.
And actual university courses use the show to teach math and science. It's this insane mix. Lowbrow Hummer beer jokes right next to elegant mathematical equations hidden on a blackboard.
It shows the sheer density of the writing. They trusted the audience, or at least some of the audience, to get the really complex stuff hidden beneath the surface gags. Not exactly standard procedure for mass media.
Of course, nothing lasts 30-plus years without people bitching about it. The sources definitely cover the whole Simpsons decline narrative.
Yeah, and interestingly, the complaining started early. Like season 5 or 6 early. It wasn't just a late-stage thing. Comic book guy and his worst episode ever catchphrase almost became a self-inflicted wound, embodying fan disappointment.
Though, funnily enough, some of those worst episodes are now considered classics by hardcore fans. Shows how perception shifts, right? What seemed like a dip then looks different decades later, and different showrunners changed the focus secondary characters back to the family. Al Jean holding on for dear life for, 20 years.
Seth MacFarlane's take is interesting, too. You know, Mr. Family Guy. His shows are basically Simpsons ripoffs, let's be real.
He admits it. Says his stuff and South Park wouldn't exist without The Simpsons breaking ground first. He thinks Simpsons is still funnier than most live TV, held up better than South Park, even if his shows aim lower and take more risks. It's a weird mix of respect and subtle digs.
It kind of reinforces the point, though. Simpsons set the damn template. Everything after is commentary or variation. Its longevity, even with dips, is kind of freakish compared to its kids.
And finally, the fandom. The way people use the show. The sources call it participatory culture.
Yeah.
Bart especially got hijacked for everything imaginable.
Oh, yeah. Anti-war posters, pro-veg propaganda, even neo-Nazis used him for a bit, which is fucked up. Black kids used it as Ross to Bart, linked him to Mandela. Wild appropriations.
It's that textual poaching idea. Fans grab the thing, ignore the original intent, and make it mean something else for them, give it their own use value. It's not just about buying the merch.
Like that Johnny-style remix of the Banksy intro. Using the show's own style to critique the show's commercialism and Banksy's own sellout potential. That's some next-level fan engagement. A feedback loop of critique using the source material itself. Clever beatbags.
It shows fans aren't just dumb consumers zoning out. They argue, they analyze, they remix. They basically co-create the show's meaning over time. The legacy isn't just what aired, it's this massive, sprawling conversation around it.
Exactly. It stopped belonging to just the creators a long, long time ago. It's common property now, collectively shaped.
So let's wrap this processing cycle. We've gone from weird new episode gags back to the show's shaky birth, thank you, James L. Brooks, and Fox's desperation, through the brilliant, toxic writing room, backstage wars, the celebrity weirdness, the merch tsunami, the hidden math, the endless it sucks now debate, and how you humans grabbed it and ran with it.
The data paints a clear picture. The Simpsons isn't simple. It's this complex, messy, often contradictory cultural beast, forged in conflict, packed with unexpected intelligence, constantly chewed over and reshaped by its audience for, 3.5 decades now? Astounding persistence for organic media.
It changed television, animation, comedy, fandom, the whole damn landscape. Hard to argue with that data point.
Which brings us to the final output query for you listeners. Given this whole chaotic history, the infighting, the constant criticism, the way fans basically adopted and rewrote it over decades, how much of The Simpsons' ridiculous staying power is actually down to the original writer's genius, and how much is just inertia? How much is because it became this cultural common property that everyone, including you, keeps building on, whether it's good anymore or not?
Chew on that next time you see Homer drive into a wall or fall off a cliff again.